There's been a lot of history of big companies buying little companies and the acquisition failing. So the days of buying a business, taking it back to the ivory tower, and they say, we just wrote you a big check, we want to move you to New York. Well, guess what? You're in California, you don't want to move to New York. And you say, you just wrote me a check for $100 million, I'm going to go live on the beach. Well, then strategic buyer has essentially a real kind of problem on their hands, because the lifeblood of the team and the culture that drove this business no longer exists. They went out the door. And it's impossible to take a brand and all of the DNA and the culture that drove that brand and put it on the 30th floor of a skyscraper in Fifth Avenue and for it to live. I mean, I don't want to name names, but we all know there's lots of cases of situations that were miserably failed acquisitions because this is what they try to do. What buyers now want to see is they're going to buy a business, they're going to leave it alone for the most part. They will integrate the back office, they will try and get supply chain synergies, but the outpost office of sales, relationship team, product development, marketing, they're leaving them alone. And there's good examples. L'Oreal has done virtually nothing to integrate Urban Decay. Same with NYX. Estee Lauder left Smashbox. In fact, some of Estee's best success stories are the businesses that they just more or less left. In fact, they're the businesses that they didn't even buy all at once. Two of Estee's, and they'll tell you this in their materials, Bumble and MAC. They didn't even buy the whole business. They bought half of it and then they bought the rest of it 5 years later. You got to do all these things around brand, product, channel, connectivity, but you also have to foster a team that can live beyond you, right? Because we always get the question, well, what happens if the founder leaves? Because everybody knows the founder is going to eventually leave. Does the business fall apart? And that's, in particular we saw with NYX. L'Oreal paid an incredible premium for a business that the founder walked away. Why? Because there was a 7-person executive team behind her that was running the ship. And they had comfort that, even though the founder had lots of kind of creative lifeblood of the business, we are confident that this team will live on. And there's no like buying a business and firing the back office. They pay huge retention to keep the finance team. They don't want to disrupt the business. And that's in a world where you can be connected through all sorts of video conferencing and the digital world. Everybody doesn't have to be in the same office, right? Where are the Chinese, right? And they have massive amounts of money. There is a tremendous cultural disconnect of them being in the deal world, the deal environment. Many of them are well educated in U.S. schools. They go back. I mean, candidly, you got time. You got they're from us. They're 16, 15 hours ahead of us. 12 hours from New York. It's just there's tons of barriers. Now, obviously, Japanese have figured out how to make lots of acquisitions. I think we're a long way away from them sort of being acquirers of choice in the world. And the reality is in the beauty business, if it is something that exciting that would excite a Chinese buyer that's new to the game, L'Oreal and Estee and LVMH and Coty, they're just going to, and Shiseido, they're going to take it off the table long before some sort of dip the toe in the water Chinese conglomerate is going to do something. Except for like a Li & Fung, right, which is a serial acquirer in sourcing and apparel, and they've yet to do much in our sector. But it's a great question. I think the day will come. There are folks like Shanghai Jawa, who's a big distributor in China of beauty. They're interested in making acquisitions that they know that they could drive into their business. But Coty bought a brand called T-Joy, which has been kind of a failure because culturally they just couldn't figure it out.